What led me to sort of really wanting to delve into the Bible and culture and how they relate to each other, I think was my experience as an undergraduate student. So I was, feeling as though I was living in two separate worlds, really. There was the world of my studies, where we were churning out essays on Marx and Freud and Nietzsche and Simone de Beauvoir and Julia Kristeva and Michel Foucault. And that was exhilarating, and I loved exploring the way in which these people see the world. It was really different to the way that I saw the world. And the other world that I was living in at the time was the world of my church, where we were being taught to read the Bible carefully and take it seriously and apply it to the whole of life. And it struck me at the time that the Bible was asking and providing responses to the same sort of questions that the critical theoretical approaches in my course were addressing. And yet nowhere did the Bible have a seat at the table, if you like, to bring to bear its own wisdom and insight onto these questions, and to show how distinctive and surprising often in today's eyes the Bible's responses are to these sort of things. And so I wanted to show how the Bible generates from its own the shape of its own story, the creation, fall, redemption, consummation framework, a critical theory of society, a way of looking at society and evaluating it and seeing what's good and what's bad, how it should be transformed. And that was the impetus that led me on the long journey to writing this book. One of my hopes and my prayers for this material is that it will help people, by God's grace, to find a richer and a deeper love for Him and for His Word. I've certainly, as I've prepared all the material for these sessions, just time and again, I had to stop and just burst out in praise, the riches of the wisdom of God's Word. And I'd love some of that to come through in these sessions, so that people think, what an amazingly wise and compassionate and just and powerful and loving and tender, merciful God we have. And I would also love people to find in these sessions a way of understanding late modern culture that seeks to do justice to that culture in its own terms. So it's not a hatchet job, it's not a straw man. We try and engage with philosophers and social thinkers in their own terms, in ways that they would understand and recognise, but in a way that brings all those different thinkers and theories of society and ideas in the late modern world under the microscope of the biblical story, and that shows all of them in the light of this richly complex biblical narrative, always to be somewhat threadbare and flat by comparison with God's wonderful story. Some people have asked me, why am I entitling these sessions Biblical Critical Theory? Let me tell you a story from my undergraduate days. We took a unit called Modern Critical Theories, and it surveyed different attitudes to society since about Immanuel Kant. So Marx and Freud and Nietzsche were in there, Derrida, Foucault were in there, Simone de Beauvoir, Julia Kristeva, thinkers like that were in there. And these were presented to us as different critical theories, in the sense that they're critical of society. They don't think society as it is now is just or as it should be. And this is the sense of critical theory that I'm bringing to bear on these studies. And, in fact, the sense of critical theory that I think the Bible itself yields. Because the Bible gives us a framework, doesn't it, for understanding what is right and wrong in society, and for seeking to cast a vision for how society might be better than it is.